Here's more wrestling news for February 9th, 2022. And your headlines for this afternoon include WWE scrambling for major attraction WrestleMania match following shocking release this month, former WWE World Champion literally rolling on the floor laughing backstage during Chaotic Rumble, update in lawsuit between Alberto Del Rio and Combates Americas, how much is he claiming? Extreme stipulation added to next week's NXT Vengeance Day event, WWE experimented with new production during NXT 2.0, will they use it on the main roster? The whole angle is underwhelming. Wrestling legend hits out a top story in AEW. Jeff Cobb out with 2 injuries, will miss rest of New Japan tour. WWE Hall of Famer thanked after officiating the wedding of 2 former superstars, and more. We are kicking off with the Royal Rumble Premium Live event, which marked the return of Shane McMahon as one of the 30 entrants in the Men's Rumble match, but was quietly released from WWE by his own father mere days later. Shane's behavior at the Rumble, where he was too focused on his own spot rather than producing the match, made him wildly unpopular, and his departure has caused major problems for the company's future plans. WrestleVotes reports that Shane's return was going to culminate in a WrestleMania 38 match, where he would have been close to the top of the card, but WWE are now scrambling for a new, major attraction match outside the titles. With WrestleMania just 52 days away, it's reported that the show's 2-night card is still very fluid and could easily change, in stark contrast to previous years where the Mania card would be finalized long in advance. WrestleMania 38 may be WWE's biggest show of the year, but Shane's release and low morale has made for an interesting card so far, and we'll have to see what the company books to replace the best in the world this coming April. Shane McMahon was said to be chaotic during the Royal Rumble Premium Live event, and him trying to book himself over full-time superstars was just one problem. Backstage, there was a mix-up over Shane's position in the Rumble match, as he had wanted himself to enter first, but there was a point where McMahon and Randy Orton were going to swap numbers. This nearly meant that Orton would have to come out in his hometown to Shane's theme, and although those backstage were incensed by McMahon's actions, the Legend Killer saw the funny side of things. That's according to Fightful, who report that once Orton learned he was going to have to come out to Shane's song, he immediately burst into laughter and was literally on the ground laughing at the situation. Orton was able to regain his composure long enough to enter the men's Royal Rumble match, and his laughing backstage wasn't seen as disrespectful, but as some much-needed fun during a hectic day. Now, fans won't be hearing Shane McMahon's theme anymore as he's gone from WWE after what may go down as one of the most chaotic Royal Rumble events in recent history. For decades, The Undertaker's name was synonymous with WrestleMania, racking up a total 25 wins at WWE's biggest show of the year. The Dead Man's last match came at WrestleMania 36 in the acclaimed Boneyard match with AJ Styles, but there are some who feel that there's one last match left in his legendary career. Speaking on his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T discussed the possibility of the Phenom's return this year, saying, "I don't think we're going to see Taker back for this WrestleMania, but I did say we will see The Undertaker back inside the squared circle before it's all said and done. At WrestleMania, one more time, that's my prediction, and normally, I'm right." By the time of WrestleMania 38, The Undertaker will be 57 years old, but has previously said that missing WrestleMania 37 was an emotional tug on the heartstrings, but only time will tell if Mark Calloway dons his hat and trench coat one last time. Last October, we reported on former WWE champion Alberto Del Rio, who has filed a lawsuit against Combates Americas. In the suit, Del Rio claims he's owed $250,000 for a December 2019 MMA fight and claims that the promotion have maintained control over his social media accounts after he stopped working for them. We now have an update on the case, as PW Insider reports that both parties were recently referred to settlement discussions by a judge, but Combate turned down the request. Combate America's belief is that they have nothing to offer Del Rio and would rather defend themselves in court. There's no word on when this case will reach the trial stage, but we now know that this case will eventually see a courtroom and not be settled before then. NXT 2.0 news now, as last night's show was the go-home episode before Vengeance Day and saw an interesting stipulation added to the upcoming event. Last night, Pete Dunne defeated Draco Anthony in singles action after Tony D'Angelo tried to attack the bruiserweight with a crowbar. Taking the mic, Dunne warned that D'Angelo will need more than a crowbar in their steel cage match at Vengeance Day, and the pair agreed to make this a weaponized steel cage match. Vengeance Day will also feature NXT champion Braun Breaker face Santos Escobar, Carmelo Hayes defends his North American title against Cameron Grimes, and NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Toxic Attraction take on Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta in what'll be a huge night for the revamped brand. Last night's show saw plenty of build towards NXT Vengeance Day, but also saw a new production technique tried out by WWE. Fans in attendance noticed that a cameraman was stood in the ring during various points of the show, and while that's common for in-ring promos and segments, this was happening in the middle of matches. The wrestlers basically had to work around the cameraman to make the match happen, all while avoiding any angles that would mean the viewers at home could see the extra person in the ring. PW Insider noted that this happened a lot during the Grizzled Young Veterans vs. Creed Brothers match, but also happened at other times during the 2-hour broadcast. This is just the latest production change to come to NXT 2.0, which has seen a noticeable increase of jump cuts in recent weeks, a staple of WWE's main roster programming that Kevin Dunn has used for years. As for their in-ring cameraman, if WWE is happy with the experiment, don't be surprised if they try this on the main roster, which should make for some very interesting viewing for those attending televised events from now on. Over to AEW, as months after his debut last August, CM Punk took his first loss for the company last week, losing to MJF in his hometown of Chicago. Sure, MJF got the win thanks to an assist from Wardlow, but the match has been praised by those both in and outside AEW, though not everyone is a fan. On his Keepin' It 100 podcast, Conan talked about the Punk-MJF match and had plenty of criticism for the near 45-minute bout. Let me say this, and it was too long. AEW is under the impression that longer is better. Seriously, people get tired. You really need to consider fan fatigue, you know? At home and in the live arena. It's real. It was a great match, but it was too long. It was underwhelming. The whole angle was underwhelming to me, and yesterday's rating might have proved it. Last week's show garnered 954,000 viewers for TBS, down significantly from the prior week's 1.1 million viewers, and while the Punk-MJF match will have certainly brought in a significant chunk of that audience, it wasn't enough to keep the rating from falling. We've got worrying news from Jeff Cobb, who has been pulled from all upcoming New Japan events due to an injury. According to the company's English website, Cobb tore his left patellar tendon and strained a muscle in his leg during his January 5th match with Tetsuya Naito and will be out for the remainder of the New Year's Golden Series tour. Jeff Cobb is a hot commodity for New Japan and has even turned down WWE in the past, and we're hoping for a speedy recovery for the New Japan wrestler. And we're ending today with Mick Foley, who has gone by many names in his legendary career, including Cactus Jack, Mankind, and Dude Love, but he's now an ordained minister. This week, former WWE superstars Keith Lee and Mia Yim married, and on Twitter, Lee thanked the hardcore legend for officiating the ceremony. In response, Foley called it an honor to marry the two wrestlers who were both released last November and had their non-compete clauses expire earlier this month. Officiating a wedding may not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think of the King of the Death match, but it made the Happy Couples Day extra special, and we'd like to offer our congrats to the new Mr. and Mrs. Lee on their joyous occasion. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.